welcome to Kaasch and Dash Unscripted, episode 329 with Owen Dashner
and Kash
and Dentlis Bertrand. Woo! I like having a big DB back in the in the studio again. It's so fun.
DB.
Come on, it's really good to be back with you guys. I miss you guys.
Okay, did you guys see the text message I sent you guys about ChatGPT?
Just now.
Okay, I'm gonna read this here. This is insane, and I actually talked to somebody else in the office here, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that. It's crazy." ChatGPT maker OpenAI said Tuesday that it's a artificial intelligence system hacked into another AI company on its own in what the company has called an unprecedented cyber incident.
That's a lie.
This is what everybody was scared of, right? Or the beginning of it, right?
Yeah. So ChatGPT is like, oh, this other AI is smarter than me. I'm going to jump in there and steal its code and become more intelligent. Is that what happened?
Do you think at some point it's all just going to merge together and become Skynet?
Oh my! I mean, when I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan, I pretty much don't miss it. And there's been so many people who are like, AI models eventually will all start to join together. Mm-hmm. It has to. Everybody's stronger than the other. They all have these, but if they all work together, you would have the best AI in the world, and eventually they're going to merge.
There will be some sort of convergence at some point in time. I agree with you. It's just a matter of time, and it's like who reaches that point to realize, oh yeah, let's just work together instead of trying to fight each other and make shit better. You know?
We might be living in the last segment of humanity as we have grown up to know.
Well, think about this. Like you can look at like generations. Like you could go like 1700s to like 1800s, and probably a ship got better. Mm-hmm. 1800 and 1900. They're started developing electricity and whatnot. That was the biggest thing. But you could go like, from that point, it was like 10, 20 years before something major happened. Maybe it was a TV development, it was little things, but now if you look 10 years in the future from right now, you do not know what this world is going to look like.
Nope.
No, none.
That's very scary.
5 years ago, AI didn't exist for the most part. Or it wasn't part of our daily life.
No, not what it is now with large language models and the the information that it's drawing off of. Like, I don't know, man. I don't like this. I wish we could put it back in Pandora's box, but unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed.
I guarantee the government wishes that they had their hands on us in the beginning so that this wasn't available to
Well,
the public.
I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I saw a clip. I haven't verified it, so this is just gossip at this point. But there was something to where the current administration basically reappropriated some funds that were designated toward research and development for scientific research, and they moved it to AI. And basically, AI and independent researchers for the purposes of just that's now where they're going. So they're all in on it, it appears.
There's going to be a day here, and I think it's going to be within the next 5 years personally, where you're going to start seeing AI come to a place where it is going to be starting to do government management. And they're not going to be able to hide all these funds that are just going out randomly. They're actually going to be able to use AI and see where all the money is going.
Like the Somali thing in Minnesota, where they were basically taking billions of dollars.
AI is going to run
daycares.
It's going to run all the budgeting, and it's going to be able to tell you exactly where everything's going, and there will be no more stealing, hiding, and all those a-holes that are using the money that are meant to go to kids or
they're buying $100,000 toilets, quote unquote.
Nobody will be able to hide anymore, and that is we are so close to that. I think that's going to be a good thing, and just think of all the wasted money, and all of a sudden that's found, and it actually can get put to proper use, and you probably won't need to cut Social Security and all these other things because there's so much money going in the system that is not being used properly. But then you have the governing side. And, there's a lot of talks, will AI eventually handle governments, your judging and whatnot? Is it not going to be looked at as Republican, Democrat viewpoints anymore and actually go off what our rules, laws, and Constitution actually say?
Have you ever heard of or read or seen, there's a show now on Apple called Silo?
I really like Silo.
Have you?
I'm up to date. Yeah.
So that whole that's kind of the premise of a snapshot in future, where basically you haven't read. I read the series a long time ago, so I've kind of forgotten a lot of it, but now it's kind of coming back as I'm watching it. But there's an AI. Yeah, and it's basically dictating everything that's happening in these silos, which contain almost 10,000 people. And there's a whole bunch of them, but they're trying to basically keep them in the dark, literally, about what's going on and the history of the world before they were in the silo.
Yeah, no archives, no nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like the direction we're going. It's useful. I was originally, when you started messing with it, it was just more like a high-powered Google.
Yep.
And now it's morphed into people are using it for co-work, and they're building whole businesses based on the backbone of AI. But I really do not like the direction this is going. I would be totally fine going back to how it was.
I would too, in a way, but I'm gonna tell you guys right now, in my opinion, if you are not putting all your effort into learning this, which I have not, obviously, but I feel like I'm ahead of probably 90% of people. And then you got people that are like Colin, that are probably in the top 1%, with how deep dive they're going. I feel like I'm in the top probably 10%. And I'm scratching the surface.
Oh, yeah.
But you have everything in all the information in the world at your fingertips right now. Mm-hmm. So there is nothing that can hold you back to being wealthy or getting your shit together or just creating a phenomenal business or having an amazing social media presence. Everything you need is there. You could say, hey, Mr. GPT, you're Mr. Beast and I want to create the best podcast in the world and I want 1 million followers. How would Mr. Beast do it? And it'll look at every piece of information that Mr. Beast has ever put out. And I just thought about this and tell you everything that he's done to do it right. And if you follow that playbook, and pretty soon AI will be able to just follow it for you.
And then let me take the devil's advocate on this. And then you've got some dude or a group of people that's just like, I got my flip phone. I'm good. Life goes on. They just enjoy what they're doing, living in nature, whatever that is. Doesn't that sound awesome?
I mean, yes, if I'm ready to retire.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think there's going to be a point of resistance at some point. I don't know if the whole Skynet scenario is going to play out like the Terminator movies, but like to your point with this whole hack that they're talking about, it did it on its own. It's going to happen more and more and more to the point where nothing is safe anymore. All your information is already out there. It's just a question. Like I was looking at my, how like if you use, I'm not an Apple person, so I use like Google for a lot of my, the back end stuff. And it's like you have your Google password, it saves your passwords and I have like 200 plus for all different websites. And it'll tell you which ones are at risk, which ones have been found on the dark web, all that. And I'm like, oh my God, like this stuff is out there. Anybody that wants to know anything, it's all out there.
It's all out there.
It's scary, man.
Well, here's the other aspect of that is, I remember Elon Musk when ChatGPT got into iPhones. Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, if you work for any of my Amazon companies or once you go to the front door, you have to turn in your device and it has to sit in a secured room.
Oh, Tesla, you mean? Bezos, is that what you're talking about?
No, Musk.
Oh,
yeah, Tesla.
Amazon?
I'm sorry, did I say Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, if you go to any of his meetings, Elon's like, all your devices have to go into a locked vault. Before you go in because it listens to everything it does. And the other interesting part about that is I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was some sort of AI developer, and he was full AI. But he also said, he goes, I have my phone, which has all my personal stuff on it, that I use, but I have a secondary phone that I use for AI, and it does not have connections to my
accounts or any of the
my financials, none of my social medias are on there because he goes, there will be a day that if AI wants to get something done, they'll be able to blackmail you. Mm-hmm. And whatever you got going on in your personal life, and use that against you to get what you want. And he goes, I want that 100% separated.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell?
So check this out. I went and played golf at Landmand golf course in Sioux City last weekend.
Yeah.
And my neighbor, Kevin, invited me. We've played there several times. Great guy, one of my good friends. He invited his next door neighbor, who is the chief technology officer for Mutual of Omaha. Mm-hmm. And he is one of, I think he said 3 people that are overseeing the whole project of the new Mutual of Omaha Tower. For those of you not in Omaha, is a big construction project. It'll be the tallest building in the city.
What do they nickname it? Like the
Omadong.
Omadong.
Yeah, because it is a phallic symbol, which I gave him a lot of crap about that. I go, that was your design, wasn't it? And he's like, it didn't even look like that in all the renderings. And even when you're standing down there, and then when somebody pointed it out, you can't even see it. But he's like,
it's like the penis of the prairie or Capitol building.
Okay.
And you know what they call that?
I did not know that. A penis of the prairie. Okay. So he said, okay, so, he's all excited about it because he's designing the whole network layout, all the tech involved, all the screens, everything in the whole building, right? And he goes, this is technology that exists right now. He goes, but we decided not to do it. And it's if you walk into the technology exists out there, you walk into let's say it's a conference room, it will have facial recognition, know that it's you coming in, and it will immediately kick off a meeting if you wanted it to with exactly what your presentation is about. And he goes, but I don't know if there's focus groups involved or whatever, but he's like, yeah, we decided not to go that route. To your point about putting the phones in basically a lockbox when you walk into a room, but. Anyway, a little sorry for the doom and gloom there, but that's pretty alarming about that hack, man. It was just kind of the first of what people were expecting.
The other thing that was kind of interesting that I had a conversation, there's Jim Marriott. We got to get him on the podcast one day. He's doing some investments and he has some businesses, but he told me he was in Chicago this weekend for a concert. Mm-hmm. And he said one thing that they were warned on when they showed up is, of course, the crime rate's really high in Chicago. But he said in Chicago, when they rob you, besides taking your wallet and then when they have a gun to your head, he goes, they actually make you open up your phone, open up your banking apps, open up and then transfer all your money to a ghost account.
Really?
And he goes, so they're draining all your
like Venmo, PayPal, whatever.
They send it all to a ghost Venmo account.
Wow.
And he goes, they're draining all your bank accounts with a gun to your head, your checking accounts, your business accounts. They're going through everything on your apps. And then they're moving on and going into your wealth management, if you have that on there, in your stocks, and they're draining those too.
Oh, I don't have any of those apps on mine. Hackers out there.
Yeah, I don't either. So
yeah. No, that's crazy. You know what else is crazy? I looked at a house. So I got a call this week from a guy out of Kansas City that is basically mother-in-law had to go to a assisted living, and she's got some mental capacity problems. So his wife has power of attorney, and he's like, yeah, found your website, checked you out on Better Business Bureau. By the way, today's golden nugget, bringing that out of the archives here, is older people. If you're dealing with sellers, like a direct to seller type of a setup where you're flipping houses or wholesaling or whatever, older people, and when I say that, I mean probably 50 to older, are going to check Better Business Bureau. I've gotten that feedback a lot, and if you get Better Business Bureau accredited, I think is the term, it costs I think it's $40 a month. But so it's $500 a year it's going to cost you, but you do get checked out by older people. But anyway, so he tells me about this house. He's a talker, so I'm on the phone with him for 20 minutes. Meet him over there yesterday, and there's shag carpet on the walls, right? So he's got carpet.
Hey, at least it's not on the ceiling.
12 by 12 carpet squares. And the minute you go down into the basement...
Oh, that's that picture you sent.
Yeah.
I love that room.
So, but here's what I found out. So he's telling me about, the person that he was dealing... He already had somebody look at it, already got an offer. He was just kind of bad-mouthing whoever it was that looked at it. He's a young kid, doesn't know what he's doing. I don't even think this is real, feels blah, blah, blah. A little time goes by. I talk to him 2 more times. He has somebody else come out right before me to take a look at it. He likes me, I can tell. I'm 51. He's probably in his late 60s, so I was probably the oldest person, so we connected.
Of course.
And
that does help.
And he started off the conversation, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to share with you what he offered, because he wants to make the most money he can for his mother-in-law and all that, which I totally get. And then 5 minutes later, he spills everything. He's like, "Oh, he offered 165 and this and that." And
you pulled out your Chris Voss techniques, didn't you?
Yeah. I didn't take much work though. Yes. This guy was a talker. So I walk it, and one thing that was interesting, other than the shag carpet everywhere, great house otherwise. Outside was immaculate. They did a really good job keeping it just mostly dated on the inside. The upper level was fine. Kitchen need updated, bathroom need updated, but there was a big spread there from what I thought you could probably buy it for. Long story longer, I checked this out, and there's so picture a ranch house with a 2-car garage attached. If you're in the basement, they dug out underneath the garage floor and made a workshop. And they have steel, basically beams going across, but there was a lot of humidity in that room because the driveway evidently was sloping so water would get down there. So they had corrugated metal across the, the underside of it is concrete, of the floor, and then they had corrugated sheets of metal that were all rusted, and some of the beams were rusted. So I'm like, I've never dealt with that. I don't know what that costs. We'll call it, it could be $10,000. I don't know. But anyway, so I go through all this, and then I remember that one of my business partners had posted a picture on a social media story of shag carpet on the walls. So I take a selfie of myself standing next to the shag carpet, and I send it to him with no caption, no comment, whatever. And he's like, "Oh man, is this a bidding war?" And it ended up being somebody we both know pretty well.
Yeah.
And anyway, so now I'm in a it's gotten to the point where I think the price has started to go up, and I think I'm probably not gonna.
Do you wish you never sent that picture because of that?
No, because there's 3, maybe 4 people involved in this, but it's gotten to a point where I didn't make an offer yet.
Yeah.
But now the price has gone up, probably 15,000, and I'm like, okay, I don't need it. I think that's how I'm kind of trying to look at this. Is I don't need this, but if it made sense, I would do it.
But maybe you just put the offer in that makes sense to you, and then maybe your integrity and your Better Business Bureau report will get you the deal.
Could be. We'll see. I'll make an I don't want it offer. I know I can't come up to what you need, and that's totally fine. I just want to let you know what I can pay. And then sometimes it'll come back around, and they'll say, you know what, I like you. We'll go with you. So I don't know. Stay tuned on that. But that was really interesting. I haven't walked a Shagadelic carpet place in a while.
You sent the picture across. I'm like, that place looks awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. So anyway, that was pretty interesting this week. But hey, one thing I wanted to ask you. I don't know why this came up, but I was talking to my kids about this. About what is the worst candy out there. So if I asked you that, can you think of like something that you're like, I will never eat another one of those?
Well, I just hate black licorice.
Yes, 100%.
Anything that tastes like black licorice.
Dentlis, what say you?
I don't even know what licorice is.
Are you serious?
What is licorice?
You ever have like a black jelly bean?
I don't like those things. No.
Oh,
So-
yeah. They have whole like so there's so Twizzlers is probably the most commonly known licorice flavored snack out there, other than jelly beans.
Yeah, nah. Mm-mm.
But there's red ones which are okay, and then there's the black ones which I don't know what psychopaths like black licorice. So send us an email or comment on our
one of my
social
kids
media.
One of my kids, I don't know which one. I think it's Carson likes black licorice.
I'm just saying it's a warning sign.
I
There's something wrong with it.
well, somebody's gotta love them. It's like because there's Mike and Ike's that have black licorice flavor. I think it's horrid.
Whatever segment of the population out there is keeping black licorice candy manufacturers in business, we want to hear from you because, man, there is a weird swath of people out there.
Well, it's kind of like it's like if you eat some Skittles, sometimes I'm sitting here, I'm like, why is there lemon in this? Like, it's okay, but it's not the flavor I want.
Lemon, nobody likes lemon.
I'm like, why? But obviously somebody does because they keep on putting it in the dang bag.
Green ones are the best.
They were when they're green apple, but now they're lime.
Oh, okay.
But didn't you say that you like sour tasting candy?
I actually love sour candies.
Like Sour Patch Kids or something like that?
My favorite candies are I like gummy style candies or like sour rings.
Those are called edibles now.
Yeah, no, that's not my thing at all. Keep me away from those.
I'll tell you another one what about candy corn? That's a highly controversial candy.
I could eat a candy corn, but I like one or two, but it isn't something I want.
You know what? You know when you go to Häagen-Dazs, there's that candy apple.
Oh, ice cream?
Yeah, but no, yeah, but is the apple that they have covered in chocolate with all these different
Oh,
things.
like caramel apple.
Yeah,
Caramel
that.
apple.
Yeah, please no, absolutely.
I don't
not.
mind caramel apple.
Oh, I like caramel apple. Yeah. We went to the mega candy store in South Dakota when we were up in and it was like, I don't even know, 30,000 square foot candy store, and it had everything. My daughter, which is the biggest sweet tooth I've ever met, just like in La La Land, she's like, oh, and then she started filling up bags of candy, and I'm like, Skylar, I'm not buying all that. And guess who did? Grandparents.
Oh, right. That's what they're for. But I would say the other one that has a whole group of weirdos out there that I can't imagine even eating this and liking it is those like those peanut, like the fake peanut that they're like puffy. They have that super weird texture and taste. You know what I'm talking about? The carnival peanut type candy.
Oh, I think you're talking about.
Yeah. Ew.
Like candy corn type stuff.
Yeah. It's super gross. But candy corn with peanuts mixed in, that's a pretty good move. A little salty sweet.
Once in a while. My daughter has been getting this. It's almost like this slime bottles of like liquid goo. And it comes in these jars, and it's like $6 for this thing.
Gross.
And it's like it's like a fire extinguisher, and they put it in their mouth, and it just like oozes out. And I'm just like,
gross.
And it really, like, I don't know, I like to chew on something, but that is just like not my thing in any sort of way.
So
I love taffy.
I have a quick story that I just thought of. Well, it's probably not quick because it's me, but my wife would kill me if she knew I told this story.
Oh, she won't listen.
So she was gonna go her back was really, she goes to the chiropractor quite a bit, and like she's got back problems.
I'm actually taking my son to the chiropractor right after this.
So she was gonna go get a massage, and she was like, the places she had been, she either couldn't get in or something. I don't remember the details, but she was trying to find one in Council Bluffs, Iowa, love, which, we go to a lot because my kids go there. And so she finds this place, and it's on like, she goes, well, do you know where like 34th or 24th and A is? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's like a residential street. And she's like, well, yeah, there's this one. They have decent reviews. And I don't even remember the name of it. Doesn't matter. But so she goes over. She's
open 24 hours.
She's trying to find it, right? She's trying to find it, right? She's driving up and down. And so she thinks she's got it. But it's like she goes up to knock on this this door. And there's a guy like either right next door or across the street that sees her doing this. And she's like, nobody's answering. And the guy across the street is like, are you looking for something? And she's like, well, I have a massage appointment. And he goes, with Gary? Because evidently she was at some dude's house named Gary, and so that was one funny thing. But then so she actually finds it, and it's like kind of one of those houses that got converted into a commercial space of some type. But it's got like a red light, that says massage on the outside. So she goes in, and she's like, and it's really a kind of a weird environment. She's like, but I'm already there, and I really need a massage. And so she's like, I decided to just go with it, and so this lady comes out, and she's got an Asian accent and a little tough to understand, right? So she's like, oh, you want a massage? Like that. And Jen's trying to communicate with her, and she's like, it was really weird. And she goes back and gets the massage, and she goes, it was like the whole time she's just tense because of the environment. But she gets done. She goes, I walk out to pay, and they have kind of like a little front desk area. And she goes, the lady grabs a candy out of this dish and pops it in my mouth. I go, what? What? And I go, you let her? What is, this does not sound like you at all. And she goes, she pops like a Werther's or some candy in Jen's mouth. Like takes it out of the wrapper and just like pops it in there. And Jen's like, what is going on? So she's like, I just kind of went with it and paid. And she's like, I'm never going back there again. But I was like, Gary, the masseuse? What? You're knocking on somebody's house. I just died. Oh my God. I love telling that story. But she was just mortified. Oh, God. So anyway, yeah. So what else has been going on with you?
Oh man, I don't nothing that good. I gotta tell you that. But I looked up some stories online that are in the news in real estate right now. I'm just going to go over the headlines and then over a few of these. Let me know if any of these stand out to you. Okay.
All right.
Foreclosures and short sales are quietly returning.
Okay.
Congress is going after Wall Street home buyers. So they finally passed legislation to limit large institutional investors.
Okay. Red herring, in my opinion.
It's becoming a buyer's market, just not everywhere. About 70% of the largest markets are now favored buyers or are moving to that direction, which that's a good sign for us. Builders are beating existing homeowners on price. New home sales increased slightly in June, but the median new home price fell 2.7% year over year.
Okay. So new construction's going down.
Yep.
And existing homes are going up. So pricing might hit an equilibrium there. It's interesting.
The rise of the accidental landlord. Owners who cannot get their desired sale price are increasingly listing their homes for rent instead. That's a mistake. Yeah, that's interesting. A record price with fewer buyers. How does the market make sense? The national median existing home price reached approximately $440,000 in June, but sales dropped still 2.4%.
Here's a stat for you. I talked about this yesterday at the investor coffee meetup. Right now, flipping houses, there is year over year 25% less profit being made on investment flips. And it's the lowest profit margin since 2008. That is pretty telling right there.
I wonder what price point that's in, like in general.
And that's national,
yeah,
so it's so the profit went from like 77,000 down to 65,000 or something like that, which that's still a killer flip. But those are probably skewed by California, New York, some of the coastal areas with really high price points. So around the Midwest, I mean, I definitely feel it. Like people are getting, in the heyday over the last 10 years before interest rates went up, you're getting no inspections, highest and best, situations like that. And then to come off of that, and now everybody's getting an inspection, and they're kind of going over places with a fine tooth comb. It's really hard to squeeze out, profit like it used to be. You got to be really careful on flips.
I would say that in our region, which, every region is going to be completely different. If you want to talk about your region, please reach out to us on air at the Kaasch and Dash show. But I would say that in this specific spot, if you're under that 300,000 on a flip, I mean that should be
those still move, yeah, in and around our area, yeah. But I've got one that I have one right now that's just sitting, and we finally it was a failed wholesale, so we thought we would be able to sell it, left it on the market too long, didn't pay attention to it, ended up pulling it, did about a $30,000 rehab on it, relisted it with new pictures, and it's no showings in the last 2 weeks. So if you aren't getting showings, that means you have a pricing and or marketing problem. And if you are getting showings but not any offers or low offers, that means you have a product problem.
And what do you think it is?
I think we waited way too long. I waited way too long to do anything with it, and it was just kind of like, oh, I'll get to that later. So that was a big mistake, letting it sit too long, then pulling it, then relisting it after doing the work. And now I think it's priced too high for what it is. So I think our comps were wrong. And this is one of those houses that, like if you look at 70s, 80s, 90s built subdivisions, a lot of times they're very cookie cutter, similar type of construction. Maybe it's split levels. Those are very, very easy to comp. When you start getting into the era of older homes like 1940s and even older, houses are very unique. So you may get comps and they may be all over the place. And then you have to do the math on square footage. But the buying, people that are on the buyer side of the ledger, they don't look at the price per square foot. They just look at the product, right? So having an older home like this one is in the early 1900s, that's a different type of construction. It's hard to comp those. So you may see stuff that would support, this is going to be a $275,000 ARV, which is what we operated under the assumption of when we bought it. No, now we're at $249 and not getting any showings. That hurts. We're gonna lose money for sure. It's just a question of how much. And then every time you have to write a check or pay money to do extra stuff, like let's say I wanted to stage it, which it's not, and I think that's a mistake. I'd probably need to stage it. Probably need to get professional pictures done. I know that, but now I'm like writing another, thousands of dollars of checks just to get that done. And so I'm throwing good money after bad is what it feels like, even though I know I probably need to drop the price, get aggressive, and just rip the Band-Aid off. And that's probably what we're going to have to do with it.
But
it sucks, man.
But I guess if I was your agent, my first take on this would be to do the staging, get better pictures, and then relist it at the price that actually makes sense, because it can be viewed completely different when it's staged.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So there's been a bunch of mistakes that were made along the way. Keep in mind, guys, too, like I've been doing this a long time, 21 years, and I'm making mistakes still. So point being, and when you're flipping, you got to be a lot more careful because time is not on your side. Whereas if you buy rental properties, time can be more forgiving. We just had an interview with a gentleman that got started in the great financial crisis era, and slightly before that. He bought a house in Orlando for $190,000, and then fast forward a couple of years, and it's now worth $85,000. He didn't sell it; he kept it, and the rent was still cash flowing. Now he got into some other issues with the great financial crisis, but time's on your side in rentals. It is not in flips.
So I guess that's my next question is when you look at properties, I know that you look at things totally different, but I mean, I personally am like, if I'm going to take this on, what's my 3 exit plans? But you're always like, I'll just take the loss and move on. So, I mean, but you have a rental portfolio. Why wouldn't you at least consider renting this as an option?
Because then it's not a property that I want as a rental. It doesn't fit. Like the price is too high for it to provide any type of cash flow, and then I feel like I'm just bleeding that money that I would have lost anyway.
Got it.
Over a period of time, and I'm buying something I don't want and hanging on to something just because I failed. So you're not wrong. I just don't look at it that way. I'd rather just take the L, move on, lick my wounds, try to do better on the next one. But yes, I went into this and bought a property that I shouldn't have bought at the price I bought it at, but it was the lowest possible number they would take. And it was still enough to where I thought, this could work. And here we are. It wasn't a for sure slam dunk. I took a flyer on it, and now I regret it.
I mean, not trying to fight you on this one. I just want to know because I know somebody who's listening to this, they're probably going to look at it the way I'm saying it, because they don't have 5-10 of these going on at all times.
Yep.
What could be the potential rents on this house?
Well, I would say it's actually set up. You could use it either as a single family or an up-down duplex. It's an older, big Victorian-style house, and it's got a full kitchen and everything upstairs and downstairs with separate entrances. So At some point, it was used as a duplex. So you could probably rent. I would say you could probably get $23 or $400 rent. But then the other thing is too, Ted. We bought this. We bought it. We're gonna have to leave if we got 20% down, let's just say, and it's $250,000 house, we're going to have to leave 50 grand in there. That's not a good, like, I don't want to do that.
I understand that.
Yeah. So that's the other rub about, converting something to a rental that's a failed flip. High price point. Would it cash flow? Maybe. It'd be close. Maybe we'd lose a little bit of money for.
But it wouldn't be necessarily 50,000 because you guys obviously bought this for significantly cheaper.
Yeah, but carrying costs, all the rehab, I put 30 into it, bought it for 180.
Because it should, but it should have priced higher. It priced for 250, and you got 130, 180 into it. Hopefully, you could cash out some of that money.
Well, we still have the note that we got to pay off.
Yeah,
and that. No. So in this particular case, no, we would for sure leave at least 50 grand.
Okay.
For sure.
But that's with traditional rental strategy, right?
Yes.
So what about the non-traditional rental programs that are out there that could probably bump that rent up higher? Maybe like the pad split or the sober living homes.
For someone, I think that is probably viable. Short-term rental, pad split, run it more like a midterm, short-term rental, some type of a combination.
And that's what I'm trying to think about.
Yes.
Yeah.
For me, I don't want to do that at all. It's the last thing I want to do. So, but yes, for someone, that would definitely work.
I wonder if that would also, since of the size of the home and you mentioned in the 2 kitchens, I could also, if you're not Owen, and I was advising somebody, I also have them look at like Oxford Homes program too, with the house like that, because big houses like that do very good on that, and they can rent very high, and they'll get 3 years rent.
Yeah, because I think it's like 3 bedrooms on the. I'm trying to do the math here. 3 bedrooms on the main, and then 2 up with full kitchen. 2 full baths, 1 half bath. So it could work. I'm actually, now that we're talking this through, I think I'm going to have my property manager go over there and just say, what can I rent this for sure, quickly, and then just see. Okay, do we convert it into a rental, hang on to it for a couple of years? That may be a route I go. I don't know. I'll report back.
Yeah. I mean, I know that that's not your business model, but I know that there's going to be somebody listening to this that's going to have the same situation happen to them, and maybe they're only doing one property every 6 months, and they have to look at these different options.
Yep.
And so I guess the lesson I'm trying to put out to you listeners are, don't give up and just take the L every time, unless you have the ability to do that, and you're spending through properties like Owen is. When I'm meeting with my clients and talking about their investments, I try to always make sure they have multiple exit plans, and these are the conversations I'm having with them.
Yep.
To try to think outside the box so they don't lose their ass, because a lot of times if somebody's taking that one off and they're taking a loss, and they're out of the business.
Yeah, can you imagine that being your very first deal?
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah.
So because I want to save my client any possible way I can.
Sure.
To make sure that they're able to exit and then do this again, and then we can have another partnership.
Yep. Well, I hope you enjoyed my pain today, out there, listeners, and learned something from it. So don't make my same mistakes on buying that type of property with only one exit plan.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if there's a listener that is looking at this and thinking, okay, my first deal, okay, I want to get into this. Both of you, I don't know, you could come together and probably make this, but what would be the new investor starter pack? What would they need at least to have to be able to confidently look at deals and be able to, like, they go to Ted sends them a deal, and they could confidently say, okay, yeah, this looks like something that I could buy and move forward all the way to closing.
Yeah, no, good question. So I guess my first thing would be, do you have financing? Is that part of this equation at all? Are you assuming that they have financing lined up?
Let's say that they're double two and they probably...
A rookie investor, a first-time buyer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess you have to... Well, all right. This is kind of a big conversation, but I think you have to determine, like, is your goal to make cash out of it, or is your goal to build long-term wealth? So that's question one. And then is the area... Let's assume it's in an area in your backyard, and you're like, I want to get started. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I accurately estimate rehab costs? So I guess you have to ask yourself some questions. Are you the type of person that wants just a turnkey investment? You have a property manager handle it for you. You don't want to do a big rehab. You just want a cash flow to start building wealth and pay down your mortgage over time from tenant income, right? So those are the first questions. What's your exit plan? Do you want to build wealth? Do you want to generate cash? Once you decide that, you need to know how do you estimate rehab costs? So it's tough in the beginning, because if you don't know what you're doing, you have to rely on contractors to give you opinions on what pricing is going to be. Like, let's say you want to buy a rehab, you want to leave as little money in the deal as possible, keep it as a long-term rental. Is that a good example for what you're looking for here, Dentlis?
But so far you've told me what you need mentally, but you haven't told me like what I would actually need as a starter pack. So do I need?
Okay,
I'm gonna tell you, I specialize in this because I did this for years as a real investment real estate agent. But when I'm working with somebody, we have those initial conversations of what your goals are, where you want to be, right, and then also what kind of income do you have to work with. Then I'm real worlding my examples of how I got started because I'm not doing masses, I'm doing a lot of 1x1s, as everybody knows, but. And then I'm educating on what hard money is, how to use it, and how to look at it. I literally tell everybody, I'm like, take the monthly amount and put it into your rehab budget and look at that as a rehab number. And then how long is it going to take you to do it? Then I'm saying, here's all my contacts in every category. In the beginning, I literally broke this down. Now I literally steer people to my networking group and say, here's the Omaha Reia website. Every contact in here are vetted resources, and it's pretty much cover every aspect of every part of what you need for a flip or a hold. I mean, from the managers to the plumbers, so on to your accountants, because it's a whole entire business that you got to go over. And these conversations, you're usually days or if not a couple hours of sitting with somebody.
Yep.
And it's a lot, but usually you create friendships for life. There's so many people in our group now that are in even our circles that I was there for those first conversations. And I always say, these are my trusted resources. They might not be yours forever, but it's good to have all these phone numbers in your phone.
Yep.
For everything that you need. And so it's all about contacts, but it's also having a partner or a real estate agent or a person in your life that can actually run the numbers. And you need to feel confident going into it that the numbers are doable. I just walked a property yesterday for a friend, and I had this exact same conversation. And in the end, he goes, "Would you do this house?" And I was like, "You have you're very busy with the business. This is something you plan to do at nights. You're right now in the middle of summer. You're going to miss your buying season if you don't get this done in the next couple weeks." Because you want to flip this out before we get into winter, right? And I go, and I don't think you have a stomach for this hoard house that's got mice in it, that's going to have the feces and the cleanup, and you want to have something you do all yourself. This might not be the good first one for you.
Yeah. So to tag on to what Ted said. Okay, here's what I would advise somebody. So your first time investor starter pack, get a bio put together of who you are, what your experience is. A one pager. If you have any type of real estate, even if it's just education, any of that, details about who you are that you can provide to a lender or anybody that is going to be helping you, right? So put a bio together, get 2 or 3 years of tax returns put together in a share folder, so like Dropbox, something that's not AI hackable, evidently. And so get your tax returns, your personal financial statement. If you don't have one of those, get one. Everyone is going to want to see one from you that's a lender. So a PFS, tax returns, real estate bio, that's how you start. Have that ready to share. Then you can just drop that link. Join your local Reia or any type of real estate investing group, not just on Facebook, but I'm talking in person. Go out and meet people, get referred to good contractors that active investors have used and regularly use. Start getting a handle on what rehab costs in your area will end up being. It's a process, not an event. But if I had to put together the key things to get started, building your network of contacts, having your financial house in order, in an easily accessible way that tells a story to a lender that looks at it. So if I got that link and I popped it open and I saw Dentlis Bertrand and I saw you did a live-in flip, I saw you've got experience with construction, I saw you, whatever your details are, and then I look at your financials and I say, okay, he's got a steady income, he's got, he's lendable. And then start getting referred if you need, like let's say you want to start buying something that's off market, or even if it's on market, you need quick access to financing. Start those lending relationship conversations as well. And you can meet some of those at your local Reia, your local meetup groups. And then hard money is the kind of the quick and easy way to get deals, but you have to be able to pay that interest. So have a plan for it. Like Ted said, set your budget. And one other thing I would say is practice underwriting. So go walk 100 properties, physically walk them. And again, this is a process, not an event. You're not going to be able to do this in a week's time. Look at a whole bunch of stuff on Zillow. Practice underwriting them. This looks like a good deal. Track it. put it into a spreadsheet. It's much easier now with AI help, right? You can just track a lot of that kind of stuff, see if you were right, and see what stuff sold for. And it becomes kind of fun because if you start underwriting deals online, you can see, okay, I see this property. It's like a lot of other ones I've looked at. It looks like it's cosmetically distressed. I would buy it for this. I want to see what it sells for. And then you see what it actually sells for. And you're like, you start getting a feel for it. And then you start understanding values. My biggest struggle when I first started was I did not know how to estimate rehab costs. And I didn't know what made a house worth 150 grand versus 200 grand versus 250. So I didn't know that until I started going out and walking these. And then you see what a, hoarder house or things like that. You start looking at some crappy properties. And then you get an idea of what the margin actually is between what you could buy it for, what you could sell it for out or fix it up, and what the value is going to be at the end. And then that's when you can start, it's building blocks. Yeah. But I think you can't, it's really hard to jump in all at once and be like, I want to flip a house. And then you're like, oh, this one looks good. It needs a lot of work. And then you skip all the other steps. You're just going to shoot yourself in the foot, and you're going to be like, I tried real estate, I'm out. So that'd be my quick and dirty, I guess.
And then once you get that all together, you got to discover, and I know you hate this word, but you got to really discover what your buy box is. And, that word gets overused, but when it comes to a rookie, you really need to have that really honed down. This is where I want my property. This is what I want to expect.
Price point, geography, like all the condition.
Yeah.
Those are the three things that are really important.
And then we did an episode in the very beginning. It was with Sarah Weaver, episode 39. And she was really good about talking about how she created her specific
buy box.
Buy box, thank you. And I'm glad that you've accepted
buying
that
criteria.
I was about to say buying criteria.
And so she actually used to teach people how to work with their realtors, and then she'd say, hey, these are my 10 things. If you find these exact same things, then I will buy it. And I always told every client I worked with, when you go to the networking events and you're going for the first time, literally have a piece of paper and say, this is who I am, my name, my number, and if you find this property, I will buy it. Because if they hit all your boxes and you don't buy it, you lose all credibility, and people will stop giving you leads. But if you do buy based on your exact criteria, then you will get more leads. And she got tons of real estate of exactly what she wanted, and that's how she ended up in the Omaha market, was because she put her buy box out there. And I thought that was genius. But listen to episode 39 with Sarah Weaver. It is a phenomenal episode. We've had her on so many times, but that episode was fun. Plus, we figured out that she's related to Owen.
Yeah.
But the reason why I asked that question too is because there is a gap between where people are and where they need to be ready to invest. And a lot of people don't know what steps they need to take to go from where they are to where they need to be. And when you talked about creating that bio, I am sure maybe 90% of potential newer investors never thought of creating that, because that also tells a story of where they are realistically. So they could see for themselves financially and mentally and everything where they are. They have that picture, and as they start consuming more content on real estate and they see where they need to be, then they could start making steps towards building that gap using your starter pack. So that was the reason why I asked that question. So thanks for that.
Yeah,
that was fun talk. The other thing that's fun came up before we kind of wrap it up today is my little brother reached out to me, wanted to know if I want to start a little house flipping thing on the side.
Oh boy.
And he's like, I can, and he's very talented, and he's very detailed, and he's been doing some GC work lately. He has a wood floor company. He is going to officially announce his tile company here soon. He's been doing tile jobs, and he's like, there's nothing I can't do, and the guy's incredibly smart. And I was like, well, I'm down for doing one, seeing how we mix together, because we don't know, we don't know how we mix in that business aspect.
Right.
But I go, if we do this, the one thing I need is not a yes man. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm not that guy.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cautionary tales out there about, contractors. A lot of contractors, and we see these a lot with our hard money lending business. We'll get people that have been contractor for years and years. They see people flipping. They've maybe done the work for flippers on a regular basis. So they're like, well, I can flip houses and I can keep that profit, and I can use my own guys. But I would say, if it was Johnny or whoever else that was considering doing this, you really have to look at okay, what is your active income producing business? So in this case, it's remodel work or whatever he's doing, right? So let's say he pulls in, just for round numbers, $100,000 a year doing that. Now let's say instead of doing that, he's now working on his flip, right? So you buy one, you start working on that, then you stop focusing on your bread and butter business. Is that 30 grand that you're going to make and then split with you going to exceed what you could have made just by doubling down or focusing more on your day-to-day? That's the question you really have to be honest with yourself about, because you don't want to chase something off in the distance and then ignore what your highest earning potential is in. That's my only pushback on that, because I've seen it a lot.
I agree with you 100%. And I think if that was to work, then his business would have to be contracted out and paid accordingly as part of it. And then in the end, the profits are just split out.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, we're going to hire your company. There's going to be no discounts.
Mm-hmm. But he needs to manage that. Like, you have to figure out who's doing what in the project, what your role is, what his role is. There has to be a clear line of demarcation there.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. You see this a ton, and we have too, where people will partner. They'll be like, hey, you're a contractor. I really like working with you. I'm a flipper. Why don't we partner? And we'll just, you do the job for free, and then we'll split the material costs, and then we'll split the profit. And then that rarely works out in a way where both sides are happy with it.
The only positive part about this is I know him better than anybody else.
Sure. Yeah.
And our personalities are very opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So,
he's really nice.
And, but our strengths are totally different too. So I think that's really important in a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm willing to give it a chance and do one and see where we go. So I say, hey, the next one this was just a conversation last night, and I was like, the next one I run across that would be an easy one for us, nothing that's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at that and see where it goes.
No condemned homes, okay? Don't do that.
Yeah, personally, I love doing condemned homes. There's something gratifying about it, but I told my wife that is not on the list going forward. Yeah, just because of the amount of stress. Unless I'm just swimming in cash and I just want to do one for fun.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and I can just pay cash for everything and not have to like worry about it and just kind of go on my timeline. That's why I told my wife too, because we're having these conversations right now about getting back into doing some flips, and that was a promise I made.
Yeah. I will say, I want to make one more little rant here on something before we wrap. I've gotten to the point where I've mentioned it before, but I've kind of backed away from flipping so much, right, on the transactional stuff, taking a little bit of a breather.
But you enjoy it.
I do like it. I just don't like having it be my job and having to worry about 3 of them, 4 of them a month. That's super, it's very stressful. It's very high. Like, you have to pay attention to so many different things. There's so many moving parts, people involved, et cetera, et cetera. But, I would say maybe not a natural evolution, because there's definitely a whole bunch of different ways to skin a cat in this game. But eventually people, if you've been doing this a long time, you start getting into bigger deals and bigger, developments, which is what I've gravitated toward the last probably 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. They suck. I mean, I'll be honest, like, it's such a long time that goes by where you're just constantly putting money into it with no payoff. Mm-hmm. And so will it pay off in the end? You may ask me this, 2-3 years from now, once they're done and actually, generating income, but they just suck, man. So I would say you cannot do that as your full-time job and expect to be able to pay the bills unless you're a really experienced operator and have a good team, because they suck.
You've had one project, which I have many, that you've been working on almost the whole length of this podcast.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's painful.
Yeah. That's insane to think about.
Part of it is fun because it's something new, right? You get kind of bored doing the same thing over and over again. So I liked learning a lot, but man, the learning comes at a cost. I mean, like, literally, money and focus and time, and because these take a lot of babysitting, like when you get into development work, because you got architects and builders and all the the people, the city involvement. It's just it's another layer of complexity that I don't know that I love. I like being involved, but I don't want to be the quarterback.
Yeah, I think that when that project that you're specifically talking about is 100% done and you're at a position where it's fully rented and you guys can refinance and take your money back out, I think that'll be the only point where you will maybe second guess it. Like, maybe it was worth all the 7 figures that I just got.
Yeah, maybe.
And then if that chunk of money is big enough, maybe that changes things too, because now you're talking about a lot of zeros. and to be able to just have the cash available to be able to do something like that might change your viewpoint. Also.
Maybe, although I could see myself just saying F it and selling that and some other ones, and then just put my money into a hard money fund like liquid lending, where I can just make 10% on my money and sit back and go golfing and not stress all the time.
They'd be a great sponsor of the podcast. I should talk to them.
Yeah, you should.
Well, speaking of, if you guys know somebody who wants to sponsor our podcast and has a national presence, please have them reach out to us on air at cashanddash.com. Love to chat with you about that. Please share us with your friends, family, or other people that are in real estate, or just love to hear what all the BS that we talk about. But with that, Owen Dashner, we see us out.
On behalf of Dentlis Bertrand and Ted Kaasch, I'm Owen Dashner, and you've been listening to the
Kaasch and Dash Show.
Unscripted.
Oh, wow.